The policy of appeasement and non-escalation pursued by the civilized world has led to exactly what it was bound to lead to. Another country has officially joined the Russia-Ukraine war, North Korea. This was confirmed by President Zelensky.
North Korea is now part of the coalition of criminals alongside Putin. Our intelligence is recording not only the transfer of weapons from North Korea to Russia, but also people. These are workers for Russian factories to replace citizens killed in the war, as well as personnel for the Russian army.
There have long been talks that the Kremlin is begging the chubby Kim Jong Un to lend them some manpower to plug the gaps at the front. And now that day has come. According to various estimates, North Korea is ready to send, or has already sent, between 10 and 100,000 suicide troops to the war.
Currently, a so-called Special Buryat Battalion is being formed at the base of the 11th of September Arate Air Assault Brigade of the Russian Army, which is staffed with North Korean citizens.
Moscow tried to disguise the Koreans as a Buryat brigade and thought no one would notice. Russians are really crazy nationalists, because they're convinced that Koreans and Buryats look exactly the same.
Scum.
Basically, when Putin started running out of his own slaves, he borrowed some from his neighbor. Moreover, the old Russian tradition of trading serfs for dogs takes on a special meaning when it comes to North Korea.
Hey, is it true that people in Korea still eat dogs?
Yes, actually, it's still quite common in Korea to consume dog meat, even in modern times.
By the way, Koreans in Russian army will have some competition. Turns out Ivans are gourmets themselves.
How much of a complete idiot do you have to be to, in combat conditions, catch one dog, then another, butcher them and eat dog meat? What kind of freaks are you, Russians?
Moscow actually started shouting, "Help! Save us!" toward the DPRK much earlier. As they say, a shell shortage is no joke.
Shoigu! Gerasimov! Where are the, munitions?
First, Shoigu went to bow before the son like Kim, and then Putin himself swallowed his pride and the UN sanctions. Putin groveled and fawned over the most ostracized scumbag on the planet.
But after just a couple of minutes, the smile, as they say, barely leaves his face. For the very first time in the past 24 years, Vladimir Putin is back in North Korea once again. The first handshake with Kim Jong Un. We will continue to follow every stage together with you.
And the Koreans agreed to provide shells. However, the shells, made in a backward country by the hands of starving slaves, turned out to be of rather dubious quality.
This is certainly not a gift.
Z military correspondents affectionately call the Korean shells absolute junk and openly curse such friendly assistance.
You're just feeding me some absolute nonsense.
But for covering meat assaults, they'll do. The main thing is, there are a lot of them, and North Korea really does have a lot of shells. Much more than well-fed people, which, as you can imagine, is connected.
Makes sense, really, doesn't it?
North Korea is a super-militarized state, an exaggerated military dictatorship. People there are literally starving because all resources go to shells, missiles, and cockades. In a country of 25 million, they have a million-strong army. And if you count the secret police, the regular police, and other security forces, it turns out that 1 in 10 people there is under arms. North Korea is a country that lives for war, and its goal is to prepare for war. North Korean soldiers were given the image of modern-day Spartans. But that's only on paper and at parades. In reality, it turned out that breaking plywood with your feet and smashing bottles over your head doesn't help much in real combat. The brave North Korean soldiers were sent to the Kursk region, but at the very first sounds of gunfire, they ran off in all directions. And this was when they were 7 kilometers away from the front line. 18 Korean Terminators are still being searched for throughout Kursk region.
Clear! You really can do it! You can do it! You can!
Kim Jong Un himself has also been itching in one place for a long time. He's already bored of just shooting his ex-girlfriends and feeding his uncle to the dogs. The inflatable conqueror wanted to play war games, just like his pale master of outplaying everyone. Just the other day, North Korea carried out a mobilization and wrapped 1.5 million people in footcloths. They blew up the roads leading to South Korea and deployed their artillery into combat positions. It just so happened that at this very moment, President Putin forcefully compelled the State Duma to formally ratify the significant treaty on comprehensive strategic partnership between the Russian Federation and North Korea.
Russia became the first country since the collapse of the Soviet Union to openly express its willingness for significant military cooperation with North Korea. This unprecedented development gives Pyongyang the crucial opportunity to modernize its conventional weapons systems, as well as to further develop its military reconnaissance satellites and its ambitious space program, which Russia has already openly offered to assist with.
There is a particularly interesting clause in this treaty. In the unfortunate event of an attack on one of the parties, the other party is absolutely obliged to immediately provide military and other essential assistance by all available means at its disposal. And since, in fact, the army of another state has entered Russian territory, the DPRK automatically becomes a participant in the war against Ukraine.
The Comprehensive Partnership Treaty that was signed today provides, among many other important things, for mutual assistance and support in the unfortunate event of aggression against one of the parties to this significant document.
Now the North Korean army has the full right to enter Russian territory and be stationed there. An ally, after all, for crying out loud. It feels like there will be more and more Buryat battalions. Hello, Pyongyang. Hello, Fenson and Kanye. Putin has played the final chord in turning Russia into North Korea, while Russians silently watch this transformation, reassuring themselves that everything is fine. Just a few minor excesses for the sake of stability and greatness. First, Putin systematically strangled the free press, then he effectively silenced the opposition, then he meticulously rewrote the constitution for himself, then he killed or unjustly imprisoned his rivals, then he aggressively militarized society, filled it with intense hatred, and ultimately unleashed an aggressive war. And now, the North Korean-Russian Federation has completely merged with the original, thereby creating a shared space of profound terror, utter hopelessness, and vast factories for stuffing ground meat into army boots.
Isn't it truly beautiful? It's so magnificent. It's breathtaking.
And Russians even swallowed that, because their television told them how great life is in North Korea. If only we could have it like that.
This is the first live broadcast from North Korea in human history. I really hope it doesn't get interrupted. Right now, I am actually in North Korea, in the very heart of Pyongyang. It's already well past midnight here, the very first hour of the new night, which is precisely why there are so very few people behind me. Nevertheless, as you can clearly see, quite contrary to endless rumors and widespread speculation, there is indeed internet in North Korea. There's absolutely no officer standing right next to me, and absolutely no one is controlling our actions at all.
How brainwashed do Russians have to be to actually believe in a wonderful, happy life in North Korea? Although, what is there to be surprised about if Russians still can't understand why Belgorod is being bombed?
I truly do not know of any other country in the entire world where people are so painfully and severely oppressed.
In reality, the North Korean regime, built by the insane Kim family, is one of the most brutal on earth, and the population of the DPRK is among the poorest and most deprived of rights. North Korea is one big concentration camp. There is no internet, no mobile communication, and escaping from there is harder than from Alcatraz.
Our government believes that in North Korea, such executions are used to instill an atmosphere of fear in order to consolidate Kim Jong Un's absolute power.
In the DPRK, it is forbidden to watch foreign films or listen to foreign music. Watched Home Alone ended up in solitary confinement. Religious organizations are banned in North Korea. For smuggling a Bible, you can be tortured and executed.
Listen, I've already got more than enough problems to deal with without you, so please just stop stressing me out, okay? Okay?
It's also forbidden there to wear blue jeans, dye your hair, get piercings, or have hairstyles that don't comply with regulations. Only 4 types of hairstyles are allowed.
What the H?
In the DPRK, it's forbidden to be born with disabilities. A UN report mentions special camps where people with physical defects are forcibly taken and held. In the 1980s, several thousand dwarfs were actually deported from the capital to uninhabited islands.
But he still nevertheless sentenced me.
One of the most horrifying facts is the existence of forced prostitution in the DPRK. 14-year-old girls are forcibly driven into so-called joy brigades. Their job is to serve the top leadership of this failed state. And now this is Russia's closest friend and ally.
It's terrifying, truly terrifying. We don't know what it is. If we knew what it was, we wouldn't know what it is.
I wonder how long it will be before girls are taken from Russian families and brought to the Kremlin for orgies. I think it's already happening. After all, the internet is already practically banned, and the vast majority of Russians are left with only one fundamental right to die for Vladimir Putin.
Lately, I've been noticing this quite a bit. Sobs and emotional outbursts about how these conscripts really shouldn't be fighting at all, at any time. I have just one question for you. Why do you and your children matter to this country at all?
In North Korea, the pervasive cult of worshipping the supreme leader is widely known as Juche. In Russia, it's often referred to as KK.
Sharp, excuse me, I have some of these very sharp and precise tools right here with me, which are quite useful for various tasks.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.